What is up, everybody? We're back at it again with another video. Today we are working on a 2012 CTS Wagon. We will be doing coilovers in the back and front, and I'm going to show you how to remove the shock from the back. So you will start off by jacking up the car, removing that wheel. Then you will come to the back where you have this panel that goes here. You have to remove the little cover that's there. There's a 7mm there. Then the front panel that goes there, which is one of those, take the cover off, 7mm behind that. Then you will need a T40. T40 will take these starboards out of this rail. Your panel should be able to come off completely. Once you have removed the two T40 screws, this panel just comes off. Pop off the harness for the light. There's a small little lock on there. And then remove your seatbelt from the front. There's a little like hole where the seatbelt slides up, and then the whole panel just comes off. So when you are removing the light harness, there's actually no clip. You push it from the back, pull out, and then you have a cigarette lighter that goes in this pocket. You press the tab, push, pull out. Then you will come around the car and see that you have the 3 nuts that hold the top of the strut, which are a 13. You can loosen those, and then you will go back over here where you have to take your tire off and unloosen the 21mm, which I'm gonna show you right now. So once you take off your wheel, you come in here, you will have a 21mm that you have to remove that holds the strut. You put your impact on this side, put a wrench on the other side to hold the nut from spinning. So now that you have successfully removed this bolt, you will move on to taking the nut off of this sway bar link, which is a 19 or a 3/4. And also, if it starts spinning on you from the back, just put a pair of needle nose vice grips on there. That should solve your issue. So once you have taken off the nut off the sway bar link, you will now move on to this bolt, which holds a lower control arm, which is also a 21. And another thing, when you're going to remove this bolt, make sure you switch positions from being underneath the rotor to underneath the control arm to keep all the pressure on the spring, because if you grab it on from here, when you try to remove this bolt, it's going to drop on you and it could damage the bolt. Okay, so now you have removed that bolt that holds the lower control arm, the nut for the sway bar link, and the bolt that holds the strut, which should look like that. Now you will need a set of these. This is a spring compressor, coil spring compressor that goes inside that spring. You torque it fully up, compresses the spring, and you're able to take the spring out of that pocket without having to drop this control arm completely or remove the axle nut and pull the rotor towards you. So once you have removed the spring like that, the easy part is just putting all the new stuff in, which is all B&R Series BC Racing coilovers that we have ordered from those guys. Another thing, if you did not order your new struts with this piece, which bolts up in there with the 13mm nuts, you will have to use a socket 15mm to remove this base to put it on the new strut. Also, I don't know why in the world I've been calling this a strut. It's a shock, not a strut. So sorry everybody for me calling it a strut. It's not a strut, is it? This is a shock. So once you take your mounting plate off of your old shock, you put it on your new shock, make sure you put this the correct way. You will probably have to use the Allen wrench that goes in there and number 15, or if you guys are able to do it with just the 15, tightening it up, good. If not, you will have to use the Allen wrench and the ratchet wrench to tighten this nut up. So once you have it fully tightened, you should be able to still spin this to adjust this into the pocket All you gotta do is put it back up, put the 3 nuts on top, put your spring back in there, the new spring that goes in there, lift everything back up so you can slide your bolt back in. Okay, one thing, when you guys are putting this back on, make sure you put that rubber piece that came off with your original spring back in there, because that's where this is gonna sit on. And also, make sure the spring sits the same way the other spring came out. There should be like an indent on that rubber grommet on the bottom of where the spring ends. It needs to be the same way the other one came out. If not, you didn't sit the spring correctly back in. Once you have that back on, you should be able to lift this back in and slide this 21mm bolt back in. Tighten this bolt. Once you have tightened this bolt back up, you should be able to lift it completely up. Put the nut back on the sway bar link. You might just have to adjust it kind of straight to be able to go back in that hole. And if it's still spinning on you, use your needle nose vice grip pliers, put them on here, and then use your 19 to tighten this nut back up. Once you have the 19 back on, the 19mm nut back on there, you're either gonna have to raise it up just a tad bit or lower it just a tad bit so that you're able to put this 21mm bolt back in here. And that completes the process of doing the coilover setup on a 2012 CTS Wagon all-wheel drive. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and like.